because I actually, I heard you play, and I can't think of the name of the place. It's that coffee shop that's behind the bar on 6th.
Oh, EXO.
Yes, I heard you at the EXO.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Years ago? Probably.
Maybe. I played there a couple times, so could have been anytime.
Nice. I think it was before you did that Electric Witch thing at Xerocraft.
Oh. Yeah.
And I was in the back, and I thought, I like this girl's music. Oh, I need to go and say hello to her. And so I was doing some research. I was doing my due diligence. Yes.
Okay.
And looking up stuff to see what is out there on the internet about you. And there's a couple articles. Can you tell me who was it? Shout Out Arizona? Was that one of them? And
yeah, I just did that one recently. I think it's a new publication coming out of Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like a short interview. I got to talk about being a musician, but also being a florist, which was fun. So, yeah.
You know what? That's actually kind of a funny coincidence. Is I used to be a florist.
Oh, really?
I'm not for very long, but I worked at a flower shop for a while and did a bunch of floral arranging. And now you've been a florist for a while, right?
Yeah. My parents also had like a little flower stand when I was little. And so that's like some of my early memories is just playing with like the floral foam and stuff. Yeah. And then I worked at a grocery store when I was younger, and eventually moved to the flower department, and then kind of moved around a bunch, wanting to get closer to the flowers. And I ended up in Oregon for a little while. Mm-hmm. And now I'm here. Yeah, doing flowers still.
That's really pretty cool. Did you also mention that your mom was a classically trained singer as well?
Yeah, she was a classically trained singer, like kind of opera style.
Growing up in a musical family, you probably had a piano in the house. You probably got a guitar pretty early, and
we couldn't afford a piano for a long time, so my mom actually got us like a little organ. Like a little upright, like Magic Genie organ that had like the little buttons, like a chord organ. And it came with a songbook of like all these oldies songs, and I hadn't heard them. I just had this like songbook for reference. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of my first exposures to like the 60s music was through that songbook, but I couldn't read music, so I was just kind of interpreting the tempo and however it played. So it was funny.
So when did you learn music though at some point, right?
Yeah, I mean a lot of it was self-taught, but I learned cello in school, so I could read some music.
That's right. I saw that you were playing cello on one of your videos, and I realized that one of the first songs of yours that I played on the radio was, is it Ghost Love? Is that
Holy Ghost.
Yeah, and that you're playing cello on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that one's hard to, I haven't played it live a lot because I feel like I'm kind of out of practice with the cello, and it's kind of a hard instrument to amplify in like a club setting. Yeah. So I always have trouble really getting the sound that I want, but I've done it a couple times and it worked out.
Well, you know what, I have to tell you, you might think I'm just trying to be a same-o or something, or a sister or something. I play cello.
Oh,
I don't know.
Maybe I'll just have you play it.
I grew up playing cello, I should say.
Oh, wow.
I grew up playing cello. So
Like I was in like competitive orchestras and stuff in my youth, and I just stopped playing consistently at like 17 or 18, and then it just all went out the window. And I'm like, lucky if I know what strings I'm playing.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
It's crazy. I feel like it would just come back to me, but it really hasn't.
Well, it's the same like anything else. I think you'd have to put that regular half hour, 45 minutes a day. You have to like, go back to the scales, just
back to basics.
And I haven't done it either. It's hard to take the time to do that, even in this time. Speaking of this time, this COVID time, I noticed on Bandcamp that you have like 5, or I know you have 6 on there, but 5 of them are since this pandemic time, right?
Yeah, I kind of lost count. I'm not sure how many I've released. I think it is 5, but I also released another song on a compilation, on like a quarantine themed compilation that my label put out earlier last year at the beginning of the pandemic. So maybe 6 songs.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm working on an album. I'll hopefully be releasing it soon.
So how is that working through the pandemic and doing this? What's it like going into the studio and stuff? Or do you go to the studio, or how does it?
So I've always worked with my brother-in-law. He lives in Virginia, but we recorded my last album together. And we've been trying to figure out, since I couldn't come visit, last time I recorded, I just flew out there and we recorded in like 3 days, we got it all done. But since I'm not able to go out there, we've just been doing it remotely. So I'll just send him like cell phone recordings of the songs that I'm thinking. And then he'll do like the instrumentation on his end of the song that I sent him. And then I'll just sing over top of it. So that's what we've been doing. And it seems to be working out, because you can't really tell.
Well, what I listened to sounded really cool. I liked it.
Well, thank you.
Interesting. So you create the song, and are you playing guitar with it then? And
yeah, so I'm playing guitar. I'm coming up with different parts, and then I'll send that to him. But then he'll just record all the instruments on his end, because it'll just all sound better that way instead of mashing up the different parts. So he does it all on his end, and I'll be like, oh, can you add this to it, or take away this, or what about this little part? And so he'll do it.
Nice.
And then once I feel like we have a good mix, I'll record over on my end the vocals over top of that. And then he'll kind of mix it all together. So really taking on like a producer role at this point. So
you guys have a real similar outlook and style of music.
Yeah, he has a band with my sister, his wife, called the Snuggalos. And they're really fun. They're just like all over the place, but they have a good time.
No, that sounds good. I really like it. And it reminds me of the description, 60s witchy. No, how does it go? Describing your music?
I think it's like, it's been a while. It's kind of like 60s witchy vibes.
It's kind of a little psychedelic, a little bit folk, a little bit. I mean, that is kind of, to me, the 60s.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think I saw someplace where you mentioned being very influenced by Joni Mitchell.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I really loved her all of her albums growing up and her like alternate tunings. I played around with that a lot when I was a teenager. And just, you know, her lyrics are incredible. And I really, I think I really try to focus on lyrics sometimes too, on top of melody. So yeah, she's a huge influence.
No, she's amazing. I think she's influenced so many people. Are there some other musicians that have been big influences on you?
Yeah, you know, it changes every time I think about it, but Kate Bush is a huge one. PJ Harvey. I don't know. The Beatles. All of those. And then like 60s girl groups I'm really influenced by, and like Motown and doo-wop. I really love all those groups. So
cool. Yeah.
You know, Phil Spector, rest in peace, even though he was kind of a problematic character.
He was quite problematic. So you're in the process of recording. How many songs do you want to record for this album that you're cooking up?
Well, it might have to be 2 albums. I don't know. I have a lot of songs in the works, and I'm kind of just trying to figure out which ones I want to go on the album. Sorry, my dog. But yeah, I'm trying to figure out which songs I want to put on the album. I think I could do 12, but maybe I should do less. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, so that's really, so how many albums do you have out?
I just have one, but I have a lot of songs that I haven't recorded. And so I'm trying to get a good chunk of them recorded at least, and have I probably have like 4 albums worth of songs at this point, but I just want to get something else out soon.
Yeah, no doubt, especially with the pandemic, especially this not being able to play out or any of that stuff. It's been pretty rough.
Yeah, it's been rough. It's kind of like the great equalizer though, because it's like it doesn't matter if you're a big musician or like a little musician like me, like nobody is playing shows. We're all in the same boat. So it's weird because we all have like the same goal and the same dream, whether you're a huge artist or small town nobody. And the like joy comes from performing, but it also comes from just, you know, songwriting and being alone in your room thinking up a song. So keeps things very simple.
So do you feel like you've been more productive during the pandemic, writing more songs, or has it been?
I feel like I'm always writing songs because I kind of use it as like a coping mechanism or like emotional processing. And if I'm feeling something, I'll often just write a song about it or try to just get the emotion out by like writing down some lyrics or something. And so I would say my songwriting output is about the same as it usually is.
Let me do another place then. So you're a young girl and you've been writing your songs, you're playing your guitar, and you end up leaving home and going to Oregon and stuff, and then going down the coast. What was that like when you started? How was that for you? And did you feel? It sounds like you were pretty well supported by people. The people had a good reception for your music. So how was that though? Just going off on your own.
It was a lot easier than I thought it was gonna be. I mean, I've always been kind of independent. but this really tested my limits. I mean, it was definitely difficult realizing like how much you have to rely on just yourself for a lot of things, where normally there's other people you can talk to or reach out to. But yeah, moving across the country by yourself.
Did you know anybody, or did you know?
I knew like 2 people, and like also I'm a shy person, so I don't know how I met all these people, but I did, and then I did it again, moving to Tucson, and I didn't know anybody here except the guy I was dating at the time. And I'd say moving to Tucson was harder than it was for me moving across the country to Portland. But no, now I have a great friend group. I know lots of people. We've done a lot of really awesome creative things here. So I think whether they like it or not, I'm here in Tucson, and I think people like it.
So speaking of which, collaborations, you've performed with the Weekend Lovers.
Yep, that was the first band I played in when I moved to Tucson. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
And then you started doing your own band soon after that, or you were?
Yeah, then I had my own band kind of during that, and she played in my band for a little bit. But then we kind of just went our own ways, and
nice. So it's nice to be able to create your own sound in your own band, in your own concept, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot of fun. I love it.
So, and another collaboration type thing that you've spearheaded is the Electric Witch workshops. Tell me about that and how.
So that was something I started with 2 other musicians in town, Narantha and Chelsea Trejo. Both of them sadly moved away this year.
They did?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But you know, their hearts are still in it. But it was music and gear workshops taught by women. That's how it started, and then eventually we expanded to change our language to be a little bit more inclusive. But basically, the feeling was that we were tired of all these music communities being like all this gatekeeping from men in music communities, whether it was Tucson or anywhere else I've lived. It's just like they're expected to have all the knowledge, and if you are not a man, then there's this assumption that you don't know how to play your instrument, or that you don't know basic. And I realized I knew lots of knowledgeable people in the community that weren't just straight cis men, and I knew that they could teach me something, so I wanted to give them a platform to do that and to teach the community something.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I had a gig when you did that thing at the museum, when you did the thing at Xerocraft, when you had the yeah. So I got there right at the end, and I was like, shoot, I wanted to be there so bad.
Yeah.
I love the concept, and I just love the idea of women supporting each other and sharing their knowledge and being able to like, yeah, we've got a bunch of knowledge here that we can totally share with each other and help lift everyone up in the community, lift the whole female music community, and just acknowledge them. And like, it makes me think that She Shreds magazine, I saw something on Facebook that they were doing some sort of honor for a bunch of women musicians and that play guitar.
Yeah, She Shreds has really, like, they started in Portland, and I remember when they first started when I lived there, and living in Portland really inspired me to take that kind of mindset to Tucson, because there was also like girls rock camp in Portland, and just different opportunities to play music in a capacity that's not just a bunch of dudes.
I know, right? Yeah.
So yeah, that was a lot of fun. At the last one that we did, we got Alice from the band Fanny to come and give a talk, and that was kind of a huge life highlight.
So for our audience that's listening, tell them who Annie is. Fanny, I mean.
Alice.
Alice. Fanny's the band. Alice, yes, sorry. Go ahead.
So Alice, she played drums in this band called Fanny. And Fanny was like the first all-women rock band to tour, I think, and to have like their own like record put out and write their own songs. And nobody really knows about them except they're kind of like a cult band, but I love them.
How did you find out about them?
I don't know. I'm just a music nerd, and came across them one day, and I was like, this is exactly what I want to listen to.
And then you found out that Alice was here in town.
Yeah, my friend Jenny Lynn put me in contact with her, and I lost my mind. She's a legend.
Yeah, I remember watching some videos of them because I looked it up after I met her that day, and was blown away, with their whole musicianship and their stage presence, everything. I mean, they really did have a real strong presentation.
Yeah. I think David Bowie said about them that they're like one of the most underrated bands ever. He said some good things about them.
Yeah, and I'm just curious about that. I didn't really look into too much about that She Shreds thing, but that's so cool that you knew about them when they started and that you were in that community.
Yeah, it's a really fun publication, and I'm glad it exists, and it seems like they've really spearheaded a community that really is valuable. I know when she started like a She Shreds like just message board on Facebook or Facebook group, and that was like such a useful group because we had never had a space for women to speak freely about our music experiences or talk about different gear or whatever. So that really influenced Electric Witch workshops.
So are you planning to do the Electric Witch workshop again sometime, even though your two collaborators have moved out of town?
I'm trying to rethink the whole concept, and especially amongst the pandemic with that going on, people can't really gather. But I'm looking for different people to be involved with it. And like I said, we're kind of trying to change our language to not just say like women, but everybody, non-binary people, LGBTQ community. We want it to be just a really safe space and less mansplaining.
So, well, you were kind of changing more in that direction.
Yeah.
Xerocraft.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I thought that was great. And I really hope that there's a way for you to continue that, because I just thought that was such a great concept.
Yeah.
Yeah. Depending on how long the pandemic keeps up, I mean, I could totally see that as an online forum, different people teaching online.
Yeah. And now with Groundworks opening up too, do you know about Groundworks?
Well, tell me about it. I've seen a little bit, but I don't really know much about them.
So what I know about them is they're like a music school. That's kind of their concept. But they're like a nonprofit, just focusing on making a safe space for youth to learn and experience music. So there's been some talk of us like collaborating on something. So maybe that's the direction we'll go in, more towards that, but who knows?
Because they already have the platform.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a big difference, being able to figure out how to actually put everything together.
Yeah, definitely.
But I really hope you can do it, because I need more information. I want to learn. I want to know more.
I mean, I set up the Electric Witch workshop so I could learn more. I need more education.
That is a great idea. That is so good. Absolutely. Yeah.
I've tried to do like a couple live things, and it's just weird for me because you don't have like I didn't realize how much I rely on like audience interaction.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time when I'm performing, I'm trying to pretend nobody's there.
But
when nobody actually is there, it's kind of like a little too eerie, and you're like, okay, I'm just playing in my room. I did one stream with Groundworks, and I don't know what platform they had. They had me download an app. I don't remember what it was. And it kind of helps with like latency issues. So the broadcast that was going into Instagram, the Instagram feed was already delayed, almost like a radio broadcast. It was like a 15-second delay.
Oh, wow.
So you could.
Yeah. So Groundworks is you were saying is focused on young people, and is it teaching them? So do you teach?
I'm not involved with it, but they've asked me to do a couple things with them, and they've really been supportive of Electric Witch too. So yeah, I think it's like a youth-driven nonprofit, so they really want to support the kids who they can't play at like bars, but they'll always be able to play at Groundworks.
Oh, so they have a performance space as well then.
Yeah, it's a performance space and like classroom setting too. I haven't been to their location. I think it's somewhere on Broadway. But they just recently opened up. I know they're having trouble opening their location throughout the pandemic. They're having different issues, but I do think they have a physical space now. So
cool. Oh, good. Yeah. So another thing that I noticed somewhere was something about the Tucson mask share.
Oh yeah, I started that for the summer with a few other organizers. Basically, they passed that mandate that would fine people for not wearing a mask. And this was kind of like early pandemic, I'd say. And I was just like worried about the police unfairly targeting people experiencing homelessness, and because of course they're not going to have access to masks. And at that time, it was very hard to get masks too. You had to make them yourselves, essentially. So my roommate at the time and we started this initiative to collect masks from the community so that we could distribute them to people experiencing homelessness in Tucson. And we were able to do a few different drives for that. Recently, it's kind of on pause because the pandemic's changing. Access to masks has changed significantly, and it's kind of just on pause for now, and trying to figure out how to use what limited resources we have to help the community. But for right now, it's on pause as we kind of reconfigure what we can do.
Because most homeless people at this point have access to masks. Is that what you're saying?
I think our capacity was outside. It was a little bit more than we could handle. And we were relying a lot on the community to give us resources for masks, and the community wasn't always available to do that too. So as just a mutual aid group, it was kind of hard to sustain that model. So we're trying to figure it out.
So one thing that I'm kind of impressed by, it seems like, there's the electric witch workshops, there's the groundworks, there's this mask thing. These are a lot of maybe social justice or social community activism, a way of trying to support our community. And it sounds like that's a pretty important part of what your outlook is on life.
Well, yeah, I would think so. I mean, I kind of am of the belief that if you want to make any real change in politics or in your world, you have to start small within your like direct community. I think that's like where you're going to be most effective, is by helping your neighbor. So I don't know, I kind of live by that philosophy. But I think Tucson is very accessible in the fact that I've had so many just, random ideas that pop in my head, and the next day I have a group of people helping me make it happen. So I love that about Tucson.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I have felt that there's some pretty supportive musical communities here in Tucson.
Yeah, definitely.
I've actually I didn't necessarily move here on purpose, but I'm really grateful. I'm really glad that I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah. My recent idea I had is that I want to start a podcast, which I never thought I'd ever say, because I kind of just hate the podcast energy. I don't like listening in on two people talking and they have their own inside jokes together, and they're telling me about murder. I'm like, what is the like culture behind podcasting has like I'm always trying to find a podcast I really like, and I feel like it's always just that dynamic of listening in on somebody else's conversation. That kind of feeling. So I had the idea that I want to start a podcast where it's somebody telling a story, but they're doing like a mindless task while they're doing it. So like it kind of like when like in the South, I grew up in the South, it's like a old Southern pastime of like snapping beans, like green beans, and talking with your grandma. And so that's kind of the concept I had behind it. So each episode is going to be somebody just telling a story from their life, and they'll do something like folding their laundry or baking cookies and stuff. And so I don't know, we'll see how it works.
I love it.
I have lots of people interested now, and so I guess I have to talk to people.
But yeah, I'm totally into stories. I love people's stories. Yeah. I think that's a great idea. I mean, biographies and stuff, I mean, people love those things, but like anything about history, I love history, but what I love about history is what was going on between people.
I think the pandemic has really shown that time is very strange. Like, I remember at the beginning of the pandemic, there were all these memes that said like, April felt like 2 years long, and March was like 2 weeks long. Just how time feels in a crisis is different than how it actually is represented.
And so, speaking about time going by and all that, tell me what are you're of course you're getting tracks together to create an album, and probably 2 or 3 albums. Of course, I'm sure you won't stop with just one. But what are your hopes for with the pandemic ending and your music career and all the other interesting social issues that you're part of? What are your plans for the future?
Well, my label's gonna be releasing another compilation pretty soon. I recorded it's a compilation of old TV show covers, cover songs, and
Awesome.
I'm gonna have a song in there. So I think that's gonna be out at the end of February, maybe early March. And then they're gonna release my album. I hopefully want to put it on vinyl. That's always been a goal of mine. I'd eventually like to tour again. I don't know. My band hasn't played since February in 2020. So it's been almost a year. So I'll have to check in with my band and see what they feel like doing. I'm sure we'd all love to play again, but right now I'm just really enjoying songwriting, and I've had a few friends who are involved in like bigger projects and work with bigger people reach out to me to help them with songs, and that's been exciting. And then just people from my hometown have reached out to me to help them with songs.
Like collaborating with them?
Yeah. Yeah. So I kind of realized that's truly what I love doing. And if I could somehow make a living off of just like co-writing songs or selling my songs to other people, like I think that would be my dream at this point, because I really just love the process of songwriting. So I always love playing shows, but I think at the end of the day, my real love is just writing. So
that's really cool. Actually, yeah, there are some different websites. Have you heard of the website called Sound Better?
Sounds familiar.
Is actually oh, you know who told me about it? I know who told me about it. It was Rogue Violin, Samantha Bunkia.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's on it, and she told me about it. So I went and I made a profile on it to offer services. I actually did get a gig out of it. Yeah,
oh,
they paid me to do some flute and some vocal stuff, and it was really like, oh, awesome. And I was able to record it at home I use Audacity. I'm a pretty beginner recorder person. It's like I have some nice mics and stuff. But anyway, so yeah, they have people who I don't know. I'm sure collaborating would be on there, as well as offering backup vocals or lead vocals. People are looking for lead vocals for their songs that they wrote.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that might be. It doesn't cost anything to sign up. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, I'll try it. I'll look into it.
So how'd you get on the label? And who's your label?
I'm on Perpetual Doom. They're based out of Pennsylvania. It's this guy Lewis. He just reached out to me. He had heard my stuff and really loved it. And there's some really cool people on there. I really love a lot of the people. This guy Carl Blau is on that. He's got kind of a cult following in the Pacific Northwest. Carl Blau.
Okay.
He introduced me to my drummer Linus, who used to play in this band called Blake. also based out of the Pacific Northwest. But yeah, it's a fun little indie label. I feel really loved and supported by it. So happy to be.
Yeah, I really enjoyed listening to you live that one time, and I've enjoyed listening to your songs online and stuff. And then where can people find you online?
So I really think my Bandcamp has the most songs on it. So I'm on Bandcamp and I'm on Spotify, probably Apple Music too.
And I saw a song on Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon probably. Once you release it to those online platforms, they go kind of everywhere. So.
Well, I guess I should thank you for talking with me. And
thank you so much.
I'm really glad we had a chance to get to know each other a little bit.
Yeah,
I won't be so shy next time I see you.
Awesome.
So thank you, Hannah.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right.
Have a good night.
Thanks, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.